Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius. Today we're going to talk about some very awesome stuff. We have a video about bobsledding, a book about a dog man, and we have a totally awesome guest. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Devon Harris. Devon is a three-time Olympian and captain of the 1992 and the 1998 Jamaican Bobsled team.
Hey, Tiberius, thank you so much for having me on your show, man. I'm excited. I'm honored. The only thing that's missing is having a hat like yours.
Well, today we're going to start off with the video of the week, and this is going to be a slide.
And now it's time for the video game of the week.
Today's video game is Bobsled Simulator. This is a game on the Roblox platform. It was made by Dash Simulation Games Dash. Because it is on Roblox, you have to play it on PC, Mac, Xbox, and even your cell phone. And it is free! You may remember Dash Simulation Games Dash from their other game called Train Simulator, but that will be a review for another day. So I entered the game, and boy, does this place look cool. There's snow everywhere, and you are in a bobsled. You walk around, and then your bobsled follows you. So you're technically like in the bobsled, and when you walk, the bobsled is just like inside of you. So you move your bobsled until one of the slides that says free on top. You can move your bobsled, but it does no use. Then you can go to the end of the slide, and then you can go back up the lift, or you can teleport by pressing back to spawn at the top of the screen. When you go on the slide 5 times, you can go ahead and go to the garage and get some decoration for your sled. It's technically a skull, I'll tell you that. You can play with other people as well, and then you can take on a slide together, but you can go at the same time. After you get 10 laps / slides over with, then you get to unlock another slide. Oh, I have rode on the slides 62 times, and I unlocked this super cool track that had lots of turns. I give Bobsled Simulator 9 out of 10 stars because it is so much fun to flip around in the bobsled, and you can crash all you want without getting hurt. See David Smith Law.com.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
Wait, you are not Chuck.
My dad can help when people get hurt. He loves to help.
If you are ever injured at work or in a car accident, you should call my friend Chuck.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
That website again is cwsmithlaw.com.
Offices, Orlando.
Does it actually have that much W's?
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of our dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom Braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering, to trophies and awards. They can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373. And now it's time for the book of the week, Dog Man Unleashed. This book is written by Dave Pilkey. Let me read to the back of the book. In fact, Devon, would you like to do the honors?
Yeah, sure. Hold it up. Let me see. So, Dog Man is still learning a few tricks of the trade. Peter the cat is out of the bag, and his criminal curiosity is taking the city by storm. Something fishy is going on. Can Dogman unleash justice on this ruffian in time to save the city? Or will Petey get away with the perfect crime?
Well, this is a great book about a dog and a man working together, and then they get put together because they were both hurt badly. Oh, it's science! So Dogman was hired as a policeman. So then Petey's the bad guy. So he had made himself die, but he was still alive because he was already a copy of Petey that died. So a piece of paper got back alive from the living spray, and then he was going to get sprayed by the obey spray, but then it hit the person who tried to do it because he made a fan with his face. Because, you know, piece of paper. So Flat Petey made a treasure chest, and then he had a love ray. So then he got everyone to put their money in it, and then he gets a feat. Well, you're gonna have to read the book. Well, I give Dogman Unleashed 10 out of 10 stars because I really liked the story and it was so good. And I will be sure to go ahead and read the other books. Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties. Contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org. Mid-State Fire has been providing top-quality fire equipment services for 3 generations to the Central Florida area. Don't wait for an emergency to repair. Call Mid-State Fire today at 407-246-8855. Get your fire extinguishers and emergency lighting for both your home and businesses by visiting www.midstatefire.com. That number again is 407-246-8855. Today's test is going to be so much fun. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Devon Harris. Devon is a 3-time Olympian and captain of the 1992 and the 1998 Jamaican Bobsled team.
Tiberius, it's great again to be with you, man. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're welcome. So, first off, how are you enjoying being on the show?
I am having a ball. You're a cool dude, Tiberius. We need to hang out some more, man. The only thing that's missing, as I said to you before, is me having one of those hats. But I guess I'm going to have to go get one so I can be just like you.
Well, thank you. Okay, so I watched the movie Cool Runnings this week as research for this interview, and I really enjoyed it. How does it feel to have a movie made about you?
It's a cool thing, to be honest. It's very flattering. I remember being on the set in Calgary when they were filming, and I'd never been on a Hollywood set before, and just to be on a set, watching them making a movie about part of your life is kind of the things that Hollywood movies are made out of. So yeah, it's a pretty cool deal.
Okay, so of the 4 guys in the movie, which one was based off of you?
So the characters are really different from real life characters, Tiberius. I usually tell people I'm the handsome one, but then they look at me and they laugh. I'm like, that could never be. You're not handsome enough. So if I had to choose one, I'd say I was Yul Brynner, the bald-headed guy. People go, oh, so you're the mean one. But you may remember he was a guy that wanted to go to Buckingham Palace to live. He was a dreamer. And that's how I see myself as well, as a dreamer.
And he was the one who helped Junior, telling him that he was, what he saw was better than what Junior saw.
Exactly. That's why I like that character the best.
Uh-huh. So my dad said that when the idea for Jamaican Bobsled team came up, even you thought it was crazy. What made you decide to go ahead and do it?
Yeah, I mean, how could you not think it's crazy, man? Jamaica is like 96 degrees in the shade, and bobsledding is a winter sport, and then the Olympics were only a few months away, and they're going to start a bobsled team. That is ridiculous. But I was in the Army at the time, and my colonel told me to go to the team trials. So I was a young lieutenant. When the colonel tells you to do something, you just do it. So since I was going to be at the team trials anyway, might as well I try to make the team. So I got there, and I saw it as an opportunity to accomplish a goal that I've had for a long time, which was to represent Jamaica in sports and be at the Olympic Games. So after I started thinking about it and seeing it as an opportunity to achieve a dream, it no longer seemed so crazy.
Okay. Well, what was the best part about being in the Olympics?
Oh, man, there's so many best parts. It's hard to choose one. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things. First of all, it's the feeling like you're living a dream. When you march in the opening ceremonies and you set foot in the stadium and you're seeing 30, 40, 50,000 people screaming, and more cameras than you can count is really cool. And then to be in the Olympic Village and meeting people who under normal circumstances you'd never ever meet, that's awesome too. And most people don't know this, but back in '88, for example, we had a game arcade. I know you were playing a video game earlier. So in one corner of the Olympic Village, a game arcade. These days they have a cyber shack, so lots of computers and games and stuff. And there's a dining hall that's open 24 hours a day.
Wow.
And you can eat anything you want. You can eat burgers. Like my last Olympic Games, there was a McDonald's in the dining hall, and you didn't have to pay. You just go order your favorite McDonald's meal, man. So if you want to play video games, guys, and eat as many burgers as you'd like for free, all you have to do is qualify for the Olympics and be in the village, and you're good.
Dad, what sport should I do? So I see that you have been in 2-man and 4-man bobsled events. Which one is more fun?
Which one is more fun? It's kind of like asking which is your favorite kid. They're both really cool. If I had to choose, I would say probably the 4-man bobsled is more fun as a driver. I've been to 3 Olympics, as you mentioned. In 1988, I was a pusher. I was the number 2 guy in the 4-man sled, and then I became a driver. I've driven the 2-man sled in the Olympics twice, but I've also driven a 4-man outside of the Olympics. And I really love it, Tiberius. It's just, wow, it's just so cool. The sled is responsive, maybe because of the weight. I know we're going to do some math later on, but because it's so heavy, it's easier to steer. Problem is that because it's so heavy, it's easier to crash as well. So
True.
But I love it.
But what is the hardest part about being an athlete in the Olympics?
Maybe the training. Maybe the training is pretty hard, I have to admit. There are days when you're like, oh my God, why am I doing this? I'm crazy. I should just go read a book, right? But then you're done and it's like, oh man, this was so fun, so much fun. Perhaps seriously, the hardest part is kind of believing in your heart that you can actually make it. That's perhaps the most difficult piece.
Wow. So my dad said that in the movie, they make up parts to make it more entertaining. Did you like how the movie Cool Runnings came out?
Yeah, for the most part. I thought it was a good human interest story that, it was funny, it was entertaining, but there were some really good, really positive life lessons that all of us can apply to our lives. So although they made up some stuff or stretched some truths to make it funny, I felt that in the end it portrayed us well, our team well. It showed us as underdogs fighting to overcome, and I think there are so many underdogs all over the world who need to have that lesson reinforced in their minds so they can overcome their own difficulties as well. So absolutely loved it.
Okay. Well, what did you learn the most from your experience as captain of the Jamaican Bobsled team?
If I had to choose one lesson, I would say it is the fact that no matter what you put your mind to, you can achieve it, no matter how difficult it is. And then, perhaps the fact that all of us as people, no matter where we're from, are the same.
My dad said that one of the teammates did not sell his car, but instead you all sold T-shirts. Well, do you think...
Your dad knows a lot, doesn't he?
Well, do you think that that helped in people wanting to support the team?
It's really cool. Listen, man, in the movie it said the Junior sold his car. We didn't have a rich guy on the team, anybody with cars, so we had to sell shirts, and we'd go into clubs and everywhere with bags of shirts under our arms, and people would buy the shirts from us. So that was pretty cool.
Okay. So did you keep one of the T-shirts?
Really good question. I don't have any T-shirts from 1988. I didn't know I was going to be so famous. Otherwise, I would have saved one. But no, unfortunately, I don't have any.
Ooh, okay.
Terrible.
Well, I saw that there was a women's team for 2018. Do you think that there will be a Cool Runnings too?
We've been trying for the longest while. I'm still hopeful that there will be. Now that we have a women's team and we have had other guys who are doing really, really well as also. Hopefully, there will be a cool runnings team.
Okay. Well, what is your greatest achievement in life?
I'm asked that all the time, and I would say it's my kids. The thing I love most above everything else is being a dad.
Okay. Well, who helped motivate or inspire you in following your dream?
I have to say my grandmother was the first person. I spent my early years with my grandmother, and she used to tell me these amazing stories and kind of lit up my little 5-year-old imagination and made me start to believe in doing things that were difficult or impossible.
So what's the craziest situation that you have run into while being captain of the Jamaican Bobsled team?
I'm trying to find a PG crazy situation for you. I remember just being out and people, especially back in 1988, people mobbing us, man. We couldn't move 5 meters, 5 feet, 5 yards before a crowd of people would come wanting autographs and would sign as many as we can. And then we would walk off and like just down the road, people would be swarming us again, It's flattering, but it's kind of crazy and a little bit distracting too.
What advice would you give my listeners if they wanted to grow up and be in the Olympics?
If you want to grow up and become an Olympic athlete, I would encourage you to go for it. Be ready. Commit yourself. Train as hard as you possibly can. But the one thing I want to really get you to do, and it has nothing to do with sports, is to pay attention in school. Really focus on your education as well, right? So as hard as you train to try to get to the Olympic Games, make sure you study just as hard to do well in school. Very, very important.
Okay. Well, if you could go back 10 years and tell yourself something, what would it be?
If I could go 10 years back, I would probably tell myself that I should enjoy the ride a little bit more. I think I was a little bit too intense, a little bit too focused, and I think you can still achieve your goals, but at the same time enjoy the journey. So, on the road of life, as you work to achieve your goals, make sure that you're finding a way to enjoy the journey.
So I heard that you are a motivational speaker. Can you tell me more about that?
Sure. Because of my background, growing up in Jamaica and being in the army, and I grew up in a really rough neighborhood in Kingston as well, and then of course, being on the Olympic team 3 times, I'm lucky to get a chance to travel around the world and share my story to audiences, large and small, audiences as large as like 14,000 people, different companies around the world, just trying to encourage them, trying to inspire them, trying to motivate them to be the best they can be, kind of remind them through my own story that it doesn't matter how difficult it gets and how, quote unquote, impossible your dreams might be, no matter what, if you really, really try. Yes, every now and again you will fail, you won't achieve exactly what you set out to be, but you can make it. So it's a pretty cool deal.
Okay. Well, when you were a kid, what do you want to be when you grew up? Do you always know that you were going to be an Olympian?
I always knew for sure I was going to be in the army. And then when I was 15 was when I decided that I wanted to be an Olympian. I was always more sure about being in the army, though, than I was sure about being an Olympian. It wasn't until, after I got in the army that I started to think again about being an Olympian, and, it happened for me.
Okay. Well, if you could do any other job that you are not already doing, what would it be?
If I could do any other job, it probably I'd be a lawyer, man. Not a criminal defense lawyer, but maybe an immigration lawyer. I'd want to help people. I like helping people, so it would be. It wouldn't be a doctor. Doctors help people a lot. I don't like hospitals, but I think I could be a lawyer.
Okay. Well, what is the biggest mistake you ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
Oh man. When I was in high school, I was at the National Stadium and I was running in a race that I should have won, but I had this thing in my head. I decided that if I, for some reason, thought I wasn't going to win the race, I was going to jog because I did not want a silver medal or a bronze medal. I only wanted gold. And if I couldn't get gold, then I'll do without. So I'm running this race and it got competitive and I convinced myself actually that I was in a bad spot. I wasn't, now that I look back at it, but I convinced myself that I was. So I stopped trying really hard. I just jogged and, lost, and it was awful. But I learned from that because I was trying to be perfect, Tiberius. And the thing I've come to learn is that we're human beings, we're not perfect. And if you're trying to be perfect, you're going to set yourself up for failure. So I've learned that instead of pursuing perfection, I should pursue excellence. I should try and be my best and do the best that I can. And when you do that, no matter how difficult the task gets, no matter how hard the journey gets, you're always going to persist. You're always going to try. And so that has served me well for the rest of my life.
Well, do you have a website or Facebook for my listeners that want to follow you?
Sure, absolutely, man. So my website is my name, devonharris.com, www.devonharris.com. On Instagram and on Twitter, my handle is at keeponpushing88, keeponpushing88, and of course, I'm on Facebook at Keep On Pushing or Keep Pushing. If you just type my name in, Devon Harris, you'll see me in my bobsled uniform, and it's me.
Cool. Well, thank you, Devon, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
All right, let's do it, man.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank Boggy Creek Airboat Adventures for being one of our sponsors. I got to go on an airboat and saw a real gator. I even got to go to the gem mine and mine for some gems. We ate a steak dinner at the restaurant and even got some gator bites. If you want to have a blast with the entire family, I suggest you go to www.bcairboats.com right now. Get your tickets today. The website again is bcairboats.com. Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
Well, thank you, Devon, for helping me with Math Corners. Today, we're going to talk about math with 2- and 4-man bobsleds. So we learned from school that 2 objects will fall at the same speed in a vacuum environment. But bobsledding is all about gravity, friction, and air resistance. So should the top speeds of both 2- and 4-man sleds be equal? So when you start a bobsled, the acceleration is the important part. Once you get the sled, moving, it is reducing friction and air resistance. So in a perfect environment, the size of the bobsled would not make a difference because the friction and the velocity is the same. Gravity is the same for both as well, but air resistance does not react the same with the different mass of the sled. The larger mass does not get affected as much to air resistance as a lighter mass. This would mean that a 4-man sled would move faster down the same exact course as a 2-man sled. So Devon, did you notice that the 4-man sled was faster than the 2-man sled?
That's a really good observation, Tiberius, and I agree with you. Absolutely. The four-man sled is faster. I agree with you that the shape doesn't matter, but the size and the weight, the mass matters, right? Mass times velocity equals momentum.
Yes.
So that's just a scientific law. So the heavier sled, the four-man sled by itself is heavier than the two-man sled. And then when you add four guys instead of two guys, you're talking about 1,250 pounds versus 650. So almost twice a little bit more than twice, or about twice the mass. So that makes it heavier for sure. It's gonna pick up speed much quicker.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Devon, for your help with Math Corners. And now it's time for Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living with the Heart of a Lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and ability. This week, we're going to talk about leadership. For me, I think leadership is the act of loving what is good, having self-control, and being disciplined. The qualities of leadership are providing guidance and direction, organization, and being a positive influence on others. So this week, I got to watch the movie Cool Runnings about the Jamaican Bobsled team. My mom looked it up on Disney+. So my dad looked up how much of the story was true so that I could ask good questions for my interview with you. So I got to see the footage of the team and that crash. I saw leadership in the team getting up and being a positive influence on others, shaking people's hands, as well as in my mom and dad for helping me find the research for such an amazing person. As a motivational speaker, you are providing guidance and directions to thousands of people all over the world. So Devon, did you see or use leadership at all this week?
Yes, I did, Tiberius. So one of the things one of the ways in which you define leadership is you see it as influence, and I see it that way too. Leadership is the ability to positively influence others, and I think I've been able to do that this week. Certainly, you can be a leader in many different places. So at home, I think I've positively influenced my kids this week so far, and I've done interviews like this with you and others, and I've also interviewed people on my own podcast. So I'm putting out positive influences out there in the world, and have done that this week. Okay. Thanks for asking that question.
Well, of all of the Heart of a Lion virtues, which is your favorite?
There's a toss-up between discipline and influence, man. I think, as we just defined, leadership to be influence, integrity is it. So integrity is really important as a leader, as a person. People have to be able to trust your word. They have to be able to know that when you say you're going to do something, you are going to do it. They have to be able to rely on you. So, integrity is a really important virtue in terms of being a heart of a lion.
Mm-hmm. Well, we should always try and be lion strong in everything we do. Shouldn't we?
Absolutely. Thank you. It's been awesome.
You're welcome. And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Devon Harris for being on my show. It's been so much fun talking with you today, and I hope one day to read your book and see you at one of your speaking events.
Tiberius, you are the man. You are the man. And I'm really happy to be on your show. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. And be sure to listen to us next week on The Tiberius Show. Your host, Tiberius Boy.
The Tiberius Show is not filmed in front of a live studio audience. Executive producer, Joseph Boy. Production editor, Pierre Laguerre. Green Room manager, Danny Boy. And your program host, Tiberius Boy. The Tiberius Show is copyright 2018.